Good evening and welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of Idaho high school athletics. The intro is a little bit shorter this evening on this Monday night edition of the East Idaho Prepcast because you know what? Sometimes the tech just ain't working, Sean. How's it going tonight?
Hey, it's going well. I'm happy to be here, Joel. It's a nice Monday evening here in the greater Pocatello area. So yeah, ready to talk about some basketball. It's going to be kind of a lot of recap today, right? There's not really anything new, just what's happened over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I want to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Ideal, a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. And Sean, with daylight savings, maybe we're a little bit tired. Maybe we're, not 100% in, right? It feels like it should be 6, but it's 7:40. It feels like it should be, I think I got that right. Yeah, it should be 6:40, but it's actually 7:40. And but we're full in the season sports. You're coaching tennis. The sun's a little bit longer. It's an exciting time, but it can be hard to keep up with everything with those lack of sleep. Guess who's not having a hard time keeping up with stuff are some of those East Idaho boys basketball teams that just came back from state having a great weekend.
Yeah, just it was fun. It was a fun basketball tournament, right? Everyone's got who they think, and you make some predictions here or there and some good chats with some people. But yeah, it was kind of fun. I thought there was a little more surprises and some runs that we didn't see coming, which made it fun. And then there were some things that were as inevitable as it not being spring in Idaho. That happened as well.
Totally. Now we had some great upsets throughout the weekend. Let's start, Sean, with the 3 seed Madison, our East Idaho team, and one of the favorites coming into this tournament. They were upset early on, first round by Boise, 48-45. Madison ended up going on to having a good tournament, winning that consolation trophy. But Sean, give us a little bit of recap of what happened against Boise, against the Boise Brave.
Hey, I mean, Boise, I believe, came in with a losing record, right? They had a losing record. They, there was not a lot of, I think a lot of people had put Madison past Boise pretty easy. Well, I tell you what, and we talk about this a lot. I wasn't at the boys tournament. I watched most of the games, but when I'm at the girls tournament, Paul Kingsbury and I were talking about how tough that 12 o'clock first game is. It's
definitely
you're never playing at 12 o'clock unless you're in a tournament in the season, which is still pretty rare, right? And you've probably played a game before to play at 12, but you're playing at 12, and it's just hard. It's the Idaho Center, and that's what it was. It was hard. Madison couldn't get anything to go down. They only shot like 27% from the field.
Yep.
And that's just not going to get it done. And, they had a chance to win, just couldn't do it, but they just never could pull away from Boise, and Boise pulled away. And Boise used some of their height inside and did some things well. But, yeah, Madison I think that was probably the biggest kind of upset in like the 6A bracket.
Yeah, totally. And so a disappointing first game for boys for Madison, but they ended up going far in the consolation bracket. They lost that one game, but they went all the way and defeated Bora 40-38 for that consolation trophy. Close game there as well. Not high scoring like Madison's used to. But Madison ends up having a nice tournament there. Sean, I wish I could pull up these brackets I had prepared beforehand. But again, Tech is just it's on a different level tonight, Sean. It's definitely still working through that the daylight savings time itself.
At least we have audio.
Exactly, dude. Oh, for sure. Too soon, Sean. Too soon. So yeah, congrats to Madison. Lost that early game. but they went undefeated the rest of that tournament and won that consolation trophy. Brought home some hardware from that. Let's go down, just write down the classification, Sean, to 5A. One of the most dominating performances of the tournament, if not the dominating performance of the tournament. One of the most dominant seasons maybe in history in all classifications. Preston Indians come into this tournament 22 and 1.
25 and 1.
When they finished yeah, but yeah, you know where I'm going, Sean. 100%. They end the season 25 and 1, 17-game win streak, and they win the whole thing. And Sean, it was never even close.
No, and I have to say one thing is I was talking, I think it was me, you, and Paul talking about, I said Preston, they're going to win 5A. I made this prediction a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
And Paul was like, yeah, but they lost to Timberline. It was a 1-point loss in overtime at their own tournament. Yeah, and their only loss. But I just want it to be known what I said happened. And yeah, Preston dominated. They're just dominated. And, and a lot of it's going to be talked about offense. But when you crunch the numbers and get down to it, they were the best defensive team. They held teams to the fewest amount of points. You hold the team to the fewest amount of points, you win. I mean, it's not rocket science. Their defense was hounding. It was sound. They basically did it with 6 guys. And in the tournament, the starters didn't even have to play the whole game.
Right.
Like all 3 games, they got out to big leads and were able just to kind of dominate. And that defense was a big part of it. Obviously, they had, a high-scoring offense. They had lots of slam dunks and alley-oops, and it was great, and I think a big leader of that team you're gonna have to say is Reggie Larson. He averaged 21 points through the tournament, 6 rebounds, and a big part of that comes in that semifinal against Bonneville. He drops a 39-piece chicken McNugget on the bees, and barbecue sauce was extra. But yeah, he just played extremely well. Cruz Harris played extremely well down low, not your typical down low guy, but he played well down there, hit some threes, strong. Everyone on the team can dunk it. Schumann, Bryce, everyone can do something of a huge value, and it showed. And it just showed how dominant East Idaho has been in 5A, 4A.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about that. We had the last 4 years, Hillcrest, they go back to back. Then Pokey gets their championship last year, and now Preston. And Preston, before that, they had won, what was it, 4? Yeah, since 2016. This is their 5th championship since 2016, the 11th championship overall. So Preston's been there. But the problem with Preston is not their fault. They're in this 3-team conference, as you and I have talked about ad nauseum. They only get 1 seed. And so when Preston's been that close, it truly has been that close. It actually hasn't been that close because they can't even get to the tournament, right? It's not like Preston is going to this state tournament every year. And that's something I wanted to also talk about, Sean, and segue into Preston. These players had never played at the Idaho Center, Sean. They never played in Boise except for tournaments, pre-state tournaments. So I think that's so impressive when you talk about that Boise team that they come in first game and struggle playing in that new environment. Preston goes in there. None of these players have been to state, and they take care of business. Never a doubt. Very impressive performance, and that starts with the coaching staff.
Yeah, Tyler Jones, just been phenomenal down there in Preston, and they do just a great job. And they had a lot of motivation, like you said, being left out or not making it, however you want to put it. That's motivation. It's tough. It's tough to watch because I see this tournament as a whole, and I know Pocatello, I know Century could beat a lot of those teams, right?
Yeah,
but they beat a Preston, very difficult. Century came within
no one could except for
Century came within 3 points at home, and besides that, everything was about 20 points. So yeah, they just it's hard when you play in that hard conference, and then you get teams that they get out of their conference and get there, but it's kind of a wonder of how the tournament should be. And I mean, we talk about this all the time in District 5.
Yeah.
And how maybe they need to shift gears about how the tournament should go and things like that, and have maybe regional playoffs, different things like that. But at the end of the day, can't take away how well Preston performed. The lights were not too bright. They got there and they continued to do the same thing they'd done all year, and that was win big with defense. Just sound basketball. They do everything very well. Screens, run the floor, get out in transition. As far as any team in the tournament, they got out in transition, I think, better than pretty much anyone. Really getting on the break fast. So they just did phenomenal. And yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see a tournament where you felt like you got everyone at
the top,
the
truly
best.
top.
Yeah. And it was just, and I don't want to take anything away, but you have Lewiston gets the number 2 seed. They go 2 and out.
Bounced. Yeah.
And I, maybe they had a bad game. I don't know, but
sure.
You don't see many 2 seeds not going somewhere in the bracket, right? You don't see them going 2 and out very often. So I don't know if it's the seeding or what it is. It just feels like the tournament could have been better, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But I don't know. I don't, even if the seeding and we had the best teams
this year, it may not have mattered, right?
I don't think it would have mattered. It might have made for the spectators watching the other games a little better.
True.
But I don't think it would have mattered. I think regardless of however you shuffle it, what other teams from 5A that didn't make it go in there, I don't think the result is different. I think the Indians win this tournament pretty much any way you slice it.
And don't take our word for it, guys. How about Sam Buffington coming in from North Idaho? Preston had a great season. And then Sam also says Reggie Larson is legit 39-piecer, like Sean mentioned earlier. And then finally, Sam, he's agreeing with us because Sam knows ball, guys. Preston's kids looked comfortable in the Idaho Center like they've been there before. I was surprised. Congratulations to Preston. Sam was there taking pictures, hobnobbing with the Idaho Sports guys and the fans. Sam's a great dude. Shout out, Sam, for a big fan of Idaho Sports and fan of the show. Thanks, Sam, for chiming in. If you want to chime in for your favorite team that played this past weekend in the tournament or anybody else, please chime in here on Facebook, YouTube, X. Feel free to leave a comment. And just, again, we're super impressed with Preston, Sean. That, like Sam said, their comfortableness there at Boise. None of them had been there before at the tournament and just came in and took care of business. And like you said, big leads early on. Most of the time, starters never finish the game. That is impressive. Here's a Dan Rudolph. Speaking of Lewiston, Sean, Dan Rudolph Jr. says Lewiston shot 38% from 3 throughout the season. And the tourney, they shot sub 20%.
Yeah,
Great
just like
comment,
Madison.
Dan.
Yeah, just like Madison couldn't shoot. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. It's hard. A lot of teams, and that's where you got to give Preston credit. Like whatever, the gym they were at before didn't matter.
Yep.
Idaho didn't matter. They still shot phenomenal through the game. They found ways to win. And like you said, Joel, that's just a team that's well coached and confident in what they're doing. Like you don't go out and perform that way if you're not confident. And the confidence was there the whole time, and it showed.
Yeah. And one more comment from Dan, cold at the wrong time. And Sean, let's talk about that. Moving down to 4A, cold at the wrong time. Snake River, who was coming in a little bit limpy, right? They were coming in a little bit hollow.
Two losses
to
Marsh Valley. Yeah,
exactly. So a little bit. Yeah, you want to be peaking at the right time, and Snake River was, and they still came at the 2 seed. But Snake River, Sean, a great tournament. They lost in the end in that championship game, but they got second place. So even though they limped in that tournament, they still played great, and but just were just shy of getting that championship. But tell us a little about Snake River and their performance at tournament.
Yeah, Marcus, he put in 19. And it was a game where they put points together. They scored. Bonners Ferry just scored more.
Yeah,
like every quarter, and there was one quarter that was much bigger. And Asher Williams, he was unreal. He was one of the best players, I would say, in the tournament. Just watching from Bonners Ferry, he had 24 points in championship. I don't know, he missed maybe like one shot. It was like his stat line was boom, 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 boom.
Crazy.
But Snake River, nothing to hang your hat on. You made it there. You had some impressive wins to get there. I thought McCall Donnelly was going to be a tough game for Snake, and Snake handled them pretty well. So it was just, that's a tournament where I thought you got the 2 best teams in the tournament. And and I hats off to Snake River, and that's a team. They had some seniors and stuff, and we'll see what they'll have to do. But just Bonners Ferry was a team that was gonna, they did it last year. They were kind of on the road to that, and big part of it was Asher Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And Sean, I was able to pull up a bracket. So I just want to show this really fast. You mentioned this was one of the few 1 versus 2. Well, I shouldn't say there were few. I think there were only 2 tournaments where it wasn't 1v2. And we'll talk about those in just a little bit. But yeah, Bonners Ferry, a good favorite. Sugar was in there. Snake was in there from East Idaho, and then Marsh Valley there at the bottom. We wanted to shout out Marsh Valley because they got those 2 huge victories, Sean, in the SEIC tournament. Upsetting Snake, and so that allowed Marsh Valley to sneak in there. They did lose in that third place game to McCall and Donnelly, but Marsh Valley, really nice season and something that they can really build off of.
Yeah, McCall Donnelly was one of those team too, a 6 seed. They upset Sugar. I mean, you're going to say an upset, but
Sure,
they were a team I would say was a little underrated for a 6 seed with Foster down low. It was a really fun team.
Agreed.
But yeah, hats off to the Screaming Eagles of Marsh Valley. They I think at one point, Joel, we probably wouldn't even thought about Marsh Valley making the tournament.
Right. No, we were not. They were not on our radar.
And then they go and they take care of business. Snake River has to play a play-in game, right? They play Teton, which Teton could have competed easily at this tournament too, right? They're another good team. They just
was loaded.
They just play in that conference with Sugar, and one team goes, or for sure. But yeah, Marsh Valley, what a way to end the season. And I mean, they didn't get the 3rd place, but to be in the 3rd place game at that point, as a 5th seed and a team that wasn't on people's radar is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and then we started this 4A segment with going cold at the wrong time, and one of the Sugar Salem barely lost to McCall Donnelly. Unfortunately, they going cold there, but they beat Fowler, but then they lost in that consolation championship game to Kimberly. So I think Sugar is also they left some meat on that bone, right, Sean? But it's still a nice season from Sugar Salem. All right, let's go down to 3A. Got some of these brackets back up. And this was one of the most upset, just one of the tournaments had the most upsets. You ended up having a 3 seed winning the whole thing. The 3 seed did play the 1 seed, but big upset here as Firth lost to Wendell and by 10 points, right? And some of those points are kind of garbage at the end when you got free throws and whatnot. But man, Wendell, what a run, Sean. Tell us about, tell all of us a little bit about Wendell.
Well, I mean, first you have to just think of this conference, right? Declo, Wendell, Westside were all ranked in the top 5 throughout the season. Westside, I believe, was ranked 2. They don't make it, right?
Yep.
They get popped out. Declo has to fight all the way back, play Westside, beat Westside just to get into a play-in game, which they do against West Jefferson. They win that game. But yeah, Wendell, a team, a lot of people talked about Wendell. They've had pictures of on the Magic Valley Prepcast of their locker room and stuff. And, we can kind of claim them as ours, right? I mean, they're in our conference.
They're in SEIC, but yes, Magic Valley. So it's kind of this hybrid, like, do we talk about them? Do we claim them? For sure.
But yeah, just a great run. And that game was just phenomenal at the end. And, they come away with that win, and Decla doesn't really get a good look at it at the end. But yeah, Wendell, just a phenomenal job, just really good. Just smart playing, went to their strengths. And yeah, like you said, the first game was a little surprising, but Wendell, state champions as a 3 seed.
It's awesome. And this was the 3 and the 2A both had big upsets. But in the end, number 1, Declo gets 2nd. Number 2, Firth gets 3rd. Number 5, Soda, Sean, consolation champs. Soda is one of those like Marsh Valley that we weren't talking about, right? But
upset in the district tournament, get to the state tournament. They play Ambrose is about as close as you can, right?
Yeah,
within a stone's throw. And they were, Soda was a team we talked about a little bit. I thought like they were a team that could make some noise. This conference was so hard to predict with the talent level available.
Well, and it's funny because at first Snake River was a clear favorite, but as the season went on in boys basketball, it got tight. It got tighter and tighter. And sure enough, it beat, West Side ended up having to stay at home, unfortunately. Again, another shout out for that regional tournament, which would be so cool. All right, Sean, well, speaking of upsets, let's go down to 2A. Let's bring up that bracket really quickly. If I can find it, here it goes. Grace, Sean, talk about Grace. Number 7 seed squeaks in. They won they beat Oakley 49-37. So I shouldn't say squeak in, but with that, when you have that 2-3 team, I guess it's 3 team, right? Division, it's so hard. And but they beat Oakley to get in the tournament. They're still that 7 seed. No one was talking about Grace at all. And
Yeah.
I mentioned Valley during the preview show. I chimed in. I'd done the 1A D1 last year, and I'd seen Pedro Robles and this Valley team play super tough. And I thought for sure Valley was going to go deep. Grace comes in and makes a fool of me, wins by 9 against Valley. Tell us about Grace basketball and what went on this tournament.
Well, again, it's one of those conferences. You win your district, you got to play in a game. So they beat a Butte County
Sean,
team.
I lost your audio, dude.
Hello? Hello.
No audio. Let me see if I can mute and unmute you.
Hello?
Well, while Sean takes care of the audio, I'll talk about Grace, because man, what a great opportunity for the number 7 Grace. They defeat Valley, again, a good team by 9. Then they go up against Kendrick, and Sean, I hate to steal his thunder, but Sean called for Kendrick to be a heavy favorite, even a dark horse as a 3 seed, but not so much a dark horse. Grace goes in, plays a tough Kendrick team. They lose by 11, and Kendrick ends up going on and wins the whole thing. And then Grace goes to 3rd place game and beats a really good Lakeside team, 55-6, 8-point win by Grace. I think just a phenomenal tournament. Nothing still from Sean.
I'm unmuted.
And he's trying. Sean, we really want to hear what you have to say, but I'm not getting anything. Sean, I'm going to try to kick you and have you come back in. Does that sound good? Give me a little thumbs up if that works, if you can hear me. All right, I'm going to kick Sean and hopefully bring him back.
Hello?
How about now, Sean? We got audio?
Check. Hello?
Negative. No audio. So Grace, another impressive tournament for Grace as they again come in as the 7 seed, and they defeat Valley, lose to Kendrick, and Kendrick ends up winning the whole thing. Oh, you can hear Sean. I just can't hear Sean. Oh man. All right, folks. Let me stand by and bring in Sean. I'll add him.
Hello,
Sean. Apparently I can't hear you, but they can hear you.
Okay.
So keep talking, dude. And I'll fix it on my end.
Where are we at on this? Grace. Well, and Grace gets to that 3rd place game. I know we were talking about Kendrick, and I did call Kendrick maybe being the team to win, and that was just my dark horse. But yeah, Grace gets in that 3rd place game. Another team that I thought might be in the final. I actually predicted Kendrick Lakeside. Lakeside doesn't make it, but Grace plays Lakeside in that 3rd place game, and they just did a phenomenal job. And they had a bunch of different people score, and just a phenomenal game by Grace. As we're waiting for Joel to come back. But overall, 2A basketball, basically the East is only going to get 1 team into this, right? And that was Grace. Butte County could have been there. Didn't make it. It's fine. But what a phenomenal job by Grace. They just did, they did well to beat Valley. A lot of people had Valley winning this whole thing, and Valley doesn't even they come away with a consolation trophy at the 2 seed, and Grace is the 7 seed with a 3rd place. Phenomenal stuff. And still waiting for Joel as tennis starts. He's probably going to pull this back up. I can hear your mic. I did call, like I said, I did call Kendrick to start, and they had a phenomenal game. And just thinking about these Kendrick players able to, just come from football to basketball, and a 66-49 win, just phenomenal stuff. Well, I'm glad that you guys can hear me, though. It's always a special occasion when it's just me to talk. I can move on to 1A. And 1A is where we had all kinds of things happen, which I don't think many of us had on the scorecard. If you look at this 1A bracket, you have a bunch of teams from our Rocky Mountain Conference. You got Water Springs at 3, Rockland at 2, Chalice at 6, and and they talk about how it's how hard it is to beat a team 3 times. Well, Chalice, they love the challenge. They take down Water Springs in what was maybe the best game of the tournament. This 3 versus 6 conference champion, this conference matchup, and it was a last second shot. Chalice is ahead. Water Springs goes down, hits a 3-pointer to tie it up, goes to overtime, and Chalice wins in overtime on a last second shot by far, and it was just phenomenal. Then Chalice goes on to beat Rockland, which was just a hard fought game, and it was tough because you felt like Rockland was going to pull away and they couldn't, and then Chalice makes it all the way to the championship, but they fall short to Dietrich.
And Sean, hey, I'm back. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Right on. Hey, I'm sorry, folks, and I think it's Talia Hutchinson Erickson. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for saving us here. I had no idea what was going on, but I signed out, signed back, and again, the tech must still be on daylight savings recovery. But Sean, great points. I heard your last stuff about Chalice. I mean, phenomenal. Yeah, they lost to Dietrich. Dietrich, we saw them play football, Sean. A lot of those same kids, if not all those same kids, play basketball. Phenomenal athletes. You had a feeling they were going to go deep, if not win the whole thing. So Chalice runs into the buzzsaw. We use that phrase a lot, but the buzzsaw, that is Dietrich. And the Cinderella run ends. But, dude, what a run from Chalice. 6 seed all the way to the championship game.
Yeah, they had I don't know if you got to see this show. They had those candy striped, pants, the red stripes, white stripes with their warm-ups. So they gave off a little Hoosier-esque, and boy did they come through. That first game, like I said, was phenomenal. Able just to kind of close it out against Rockland, and these are teams that had beaten Chalice twice already. I got to cover Rockland versus Dietrich early in the season, and Rockland took care of business by 20. And I know Coach Neal would have loved it, had another shot at Dietrich. But, Rockland goes down to the third place game, takes care of Garden Valley 79-60, and Water Springs 6 Constellation. So from our East Idaho Conference here in 1A, very well. There wasn't a lack of trophies. Everyone brought one home. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is really cool. Like you said, number 6 Chalice gets second. Number 2 Rockland gets third. Number 3 Water Springs Constellation champs. And that Rocky Mountain Conference is awesome. And Sean, we might sound like broken records. We'd say it all the time, but every year, girls and boys basketball, it's a loaded 4, 5, even 6-team conference, and you just don't know who's gonna take it, right? Who's gonna take the conference, and therefore, when they come to the 1A district tournament for boys and girls, it's going to be a lot of Rocky Mountain, and it's a blast. But Dietrich wins that one in the end, 58-36. They are your champs. Chalice, Rockland, Water Springs, though, a great opportunity. Sean, we got to get up to Water Springs, man, to get up to a game. We got to talk to the boss about that.
I know someone I can't remember who I was talking to, and they're like, "Oh, it was who did 1A this year?"
It was
who lives in Idaho Falls? Josh.
Yeah, Josh McGauley. Yep.
Yeah.
Glenn Jones.
Josh stopped down by the tennis facility to grab his pass to go up to state, and I was telling him about some of the teams. Right, I'm very familiar with these 1A teams, and he's like, "Where is Water Springs?" I'm like, "It's in Idaho Falls."
Dude,
like,
it's in Idaho Falls.
I live in Idaho Falls.
Yeah, we know.
So that was kind of funny, but I mean, they're on the map now.
They sure are, dude.
Yeah,
They
and
sure
they did
are.
a phenomenal job.
Yeah. So congrats to all these teams from East Idaho. The title of this episode is Conquerors from the East. And Sean, we had all sorts of great opportunities from East Idaho teams to go to state and to win. Preston, though, in the end, they are the Conquerors from the East of 5A, and some other phenomenal playing from those teams. Look, there's at the end of the day, you get to state, and that's awesome. It's a great opportunity. Maybe sometimes we don't have the top 8 teams at state, but for now, this is the format. This is what we have, and if you get there, that's you should be rewarded. And teams get to have that experience. It may be their one and only time at state, and so just want to give a congratulations to all the East Idaho teams for getting to state, playing there, and having that experience. It's pretty awesome. Sean, before we move on, let's recognize our sponsor, Ideal, a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising costs of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school apprenticeship, or even those darn student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. All right, Sean, we're going to do a quick overview of some of the East Idaho teams for spring sports, including your awesome Century tennis team, Sean. But before we do, we got to do a quick shout out for wrestling, man. The wrestling podcast, Nat Chat, does an awesome job. Let me get rid of this media asset here. Does an awesome job all wrestling season. But we had 2 really nice performances coming out of American Falls High School. They're an East Idaho team, and we just got to do a quick shout out, Sean, for those guys. And who are those 2 wrestlers that we want to shout out tonight?
Gene Akin?
That's his dad. So yeah, Mason.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mason Akin. Well,
yeah.
you have Mason Akin, and then obviously you have little Nate Gulliman.
Yeah,
and they're phenomenal, and they talked about in the match how these 2 feed off each other, and they both work really hard. And I think Mason, they were saying how he didn't cut any weight. He just was how he was. He just went whatever weight it was. So that was
144.
Yeah. So because a lot of times, sometimes you want to cut because you can be a little stronger, a little lower weight, right? Whatever. Yeah. We know wrestling. We know wrestling.
Hey, we know
wrestling. And I just remember them talking about how you just didn't try to cut or anything, just wrestle at that weight. And what a phenomenal job. And apparently his dad works with you, Joel. So you've got an inside track now to wrestling. And little Nate, 3rd state title, UVU commit. It is phenomenal. And American Falls goes in and gets 2nd at state as well. And it was tough. There's a lot of there was so many good teams in all the classifications. And that's what it's really cool about wrestling is when they talk about it, if your team's just able to place, how crazy good that is and exciting that is, because you might only have so many wrestlers, or you might not even win districts, but you might place at state. And what a phenomenal job by East Idaho as far as that goes, because it's so hard and the margins are so small, and like they're talking about on the mat chat, it's just so small, and just the place is such a phenomenal thing. And sometimes when we talk about basketball, it's kind of like, oh, they got 3rd place. We don't emphasize it probably as much as we should. It's pretty good that you got 3rd place. It's not a bad thing to be the 3rd out of the whole state. And same with when wrestling does the best job at this and saying 2nd place. Heck yeah. Of course you want the blue, but red is better than going home with nothing. There's so many kids that would love to hold the trophy at the end of the season, whatever color it is.
Yeah, for sure. But Mason, man, as a senior wrestler, great overall career. He held that trophy quite a bit. 2-time champ, 3-time finalist, 4-time medalist in that 144 weight class. And then, of course, you had Nate Googleman, his 3rd state title. And you already said it, Sean. He's going to UVU, going to be a Wolverine, continue his educational and athletic career there at UVU. So congrats to those 2 dudes. We needed to shout them out, Mason and Nate, for having really good careers in high school. And good luck to Nate as he goes on and wrestles for UVU. All right, Sean, with that, let's do some East Idaho spring sports really quick, and then we'll get everyone out of here and enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Enjoy some of that sunshine if it's still out there. And if you're listening to this tomorrow morning, no problem. Again, you can always catch this show on IdahoSports.com's Facebook page, YouTube channel, X account, and you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Sean, I'm going to give you each sport, okay? And
Okay.
because you are the East Idaho expert, you're going to give us a team or two. I'll give you two optionally, but that means we stay on here longer hanging out. I don't know if you want to hang out with me that long. And yeah, give me one or two teams that everyone that our East Idaho fans should be watching for or listening for or following. Sound good? All right, let's go. Let's go baseball first. What do you got, Sean?
Baseball. I think there's going to be some parity this year, but I'm kind of interested to see how the Pocatello Indians do. After being on top, then not on top, and now they've got some seniors. They have a really good. If you look at their roster, they have a good mix of upperclassmen, lowerclassmen. Vinny Benedictus.
Vinny Benavides. Awesome coach.
Hopefully he's not watching. Yeah, Vinny does a phenomenal job.
Shout out, Vinny.
So I'm interested to see, and they start their first games on the 14th versus West Jordan. I think it's a tournament down in Utah. And then the other team, I mean, you got to say Sugar, right? Yep. They won last year. They ended on a 17-game win streak. What are the Diggers going to do this year?
Yeah, good stuff. I was all right. That's Pocatello. That's Sugar that Sean's looking for, folks. You should be watching for them as well. Do you have other teams? Everyone out there who's listening, teams that we should be listening for, that we should be paying attention to? Shout it out. Put them out in the comments section below. All right, let's do softball, Sean. Who do you got? What team should we be watching for in softball?
I've got to go the Malad Dragon girls. They've had a phenomenal year. Volleyball, basketball. A lot of these same girls are going to be on the softball team that's done very well. And their name, these girls are also going to come up in another spring sport too. But yeah, I'm very interested to see the Dragons of Malad. Definitely, we have to talk a little bit about Pocatello Thunder, right? Are they going to be able to repeat? They have a good, they'll still have a good core. Will the pitching still be there? I think so.
Right on. Let's see. I was looking for a name of a coach I wanted to shout out, but I'll keep looking for that. All right. So that's softball, baseball, track, dude. Sean, there's a lot of runners, great runners here in East Idaho. We saw that for cross country. Give me one or two teams, and again, a lot of kids come out for track and field because you got a lot of soccer, football, even basketball. Kids are trying to keep that speed, and track is a great way to do that. Give us two teams. I'll give you two teams each for boys and girls. Sean, go for it.
Rigby has a huge, phenomenal track program. I'll be real interested to see what they can do boys wise. I think there's a lot. Highland's going to have good track as well, but Rigby would be a team I'm kind of keeping an eye on, as like if we're going to say a whole team. And then obviously Rockland. I want to see what Rockland boys can do. They have some distance runners, right? Big time. We lost Joel again.
Never lost me. Just lost in your hearts, not in your minds, not in your hearts. Okay, right on. Let's do. Sorry, Sean, you did boys track.
Yeah, I did boys.
Did you hit girls as well?
I didn't hit girls. Girls.
Right. Girls. What do
girls. Preston girls place, Sugar girls place, and then down a little lower, I think you got Soda, Firth, and Malad. Girls are definitely some teams to look out for.
Perfect. All right. I really want to find that coach.
Yeah.
But I'll find him. Don't worry. It might be for the next episode. Sean, second to last. Actually, you know what? We'll do that one last. Golf. We don't have any specific teams. It's 3A, 2A. But what do we do about golf? And we had a great golf, I think, coverage in the fall. If I, pat our back here.
I think we did better than we had.
We did a good job with golf, right? So how do we keep doing that, Sean?
Yeah, if you're watching and you're in a 3A, 2A school that participates in golf, shout us a message, hit us up. My Twitter thing isn't on there, and it wouldn't let me put it on there anymore, but it's at SKane182. Yeah. Hit us up, let us know some track results, or golf results. Golf in the spring when everyone played was hard to get it, and now it seems even harder. But yeah, we'd love to hear about your 3A, 2A golf teams. And we don't want it to get lost. It could get lost. There's lots going on in the spring. Let's not let it get lost. I'll do a good job. I'll do my best of trying to find a contact in that realm.
Yeah, no, Sean, you're the East Idaho expert, man. You do such a good job in getting those contacts. But yeah, we want to shout out your golf players, and we had such a good. Honestly, Sean, I had a great time.
Oh yeah.
Following golf and learning it a little bit. I've done putt. That's all I got. I'm not. I don't know what my issues, but I've never golfed. We did golf in middle school. Actually, I had a blast. There was like a golf elective that we could do, and I did it I think 3 times. Absolute blast. Hey Sean, speaking of golf, here we go. Ryrie and Chalice girls and boys golf. Okay, right on. Thank you, Chalice.
Yeah.
School athletics. Shout out. Chalice is
now will Chalice golf wear that red and white striped?
Oh, please do.
Like polo.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But
yeah, for sure.
Chalice has got. I don't know if you know this, Joel. You're not a golfer. Up in Chalice has like one of the best golf courses. People just love to go play golf up there. So that makes a ton of sense to me.
Cool. Right on. And then Chalice also shouting out the Grace girls for golf.
Oh yeah.
So a couple teams we watching for. So Ryrie, Chalice girls and boys, and then the Grace girls as well. Love it. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, if we can lean on you, Chalice High School Athletics Facebook account, we're gonna have to hit you up for some of those golf results for sure. And again, we really enjoyed covering 6-5 and 4-8 golf. So please do hit us up with those results. And thanks for chiming in on the show. Okay, Sean, last but definitely not least, you are the tennis coach champion. Sean, how many championships do you have under your belt?
9.
I'm bragging for you. You're not bragging. I'm for
you.
So
everyone always talks about that. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Okay, sorry.
Brandon will go 10.
Sorry.
It's 9.
Okay.
And let's be honest, the kids won it, not me.
Totally.
Just there.
We've seen you play.
I'm just there. The kids do it. But yeah, tennis.
Yeah.
We've got a phenomenal. We've had some phenomenal weather. We don't want to talk about the weather too much, but when it comes to spring, it's going to be a hot topic. And the weather's going to be good. And in East Idaho, it's always very difficult for us to compete against some of the Boise area. It's just there's way more tennis available. It's kind of like more. It's like swimming. You know. Yeah. Facilities are key, and we always go up and compete. And Highland, Madison, and Century would be teams I'd, watch for in boys in East Idaho. There's a ton of teams. We're the defending champs. Highland took 3rd. Madison brings back a lot of boys. They lose some boys, but they bring back some. They'll be good. So I'd watch out for those teams. For girls, it'll be real interesting. Idaho Falls and Hillcrest girls, I think, could do some stuff at that 5A level. And it'll be a fun season for sure. We get started Wednesday versus Rigby, and when the weather's nice, I'm like excited and all about it. But if the weather gets bad, I'll be all grumpy. But but it was like 60 degrees, Joel.
I know.
We cleaned around the courts, picked up trash and brushed, shoveled, raked, and did all kinds of stuff. And then I got an hour and a half or so of hitting and played some matches out, and it was nice. There's a good vibe in the gym right now on the courts. Yeah.
Right on. I love it. Well, you mentioned your first match is this Wednesday, right, Sean?
Yep.
So the weather right now here in Pocatello, partly cloudy, 53 degrees.
That's hot. It might be too hot.
You may not be wearing that jacket, dude.
Yeah, I've just got a long sleeve and a vest today, so I'm a little dressed down. But I will tell you this is kind of interesting. We have not been able to play on our courts for 2 years. So Wednesday will be my first home match in over 2 years.
Oh my goodness. Congrats, dude. That's awesome. So some refurbished courts, right?
Kind of, but
okay.
We can play, and that's all that matters. And everyone's real excited. And just to be able to be at home, we've had to go play at Capel, thank you to Highland and letting us play early there and having a place to play. But just to be able to be home, walk out your front door and hit the courts, there's something about that, and I'm sure any team or coach can tell you that when you just get to go home and play at your home court, there's something special. And I feel bad for the kids that have kind of lost that for 2 years, but we get that back Wednesday, so I'm pretty excited.
Awesome. Well, and after Wednesday, Sean, unfortunately for your practices, the weather's going to drop a little bit. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, but hopefully it'll go back up next week. But we're really excited for East Sports, especially the East Idaho Spring Sports track. baseball, softball, tennis, and golf. Again, we'll try to get to as many of the best stories as we can. If you have a good story from a good story in which your student or a coach is involved, especially those extracurriculars, we've had a lot of players, unfortunately, Sean, and not just players, but teammates, fellow students that have been going through some tough times, right? We've had Thunder Ridge, some students were going through cancer, and just throughout the whole season, I think there was some Hillcrest, some students from Hillcrest that were trying to support their teammates and their fellow students. But if there's anything like that, where there's a fundraiser to help a student out going on, please let us know. We'd love to highlight it on this East Idaho Prepcast. That's why we're here. We want to shout at the students, their awesome play, but also their play off the court in the classroom and the way they help out their fellow students and their community. Want to shout all that out and want to get to the top stories, as we say at the beginning of every show. And Sean, before we end with that, just want to recognize one more time our awesome sponsor, allowing this show to be broadcast to you all, Ideal, a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan. You've heard about them throughout the show. College is getting more and more expensive, but also trade schools as well. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards that, plus apprenticeships or even student loan repayments. So for more information on how to save money going into college and those trade schools, apprenticeships, or student loan repayments, go to idsavings.org. You can catch Sean at Century. Doing tennis. You can catch me hopefully walking, running, hanging out in the community. It's been great so far. Let's keep it going, Sean. We're going from the winter sports to esports. It's going to be a blast. For Sean Kane, I'm Joel Richardson saying be excellent to each other. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.